Week 8 of the Indoor Football League has come and passed. We are really flying through the season at this point, and there were some really interesting and big games that happened this past week. Two winless teams got their first win of the season in pretty big upsets with Jacksonville and Sioux Falls. And then we got undefeated against undefeated, but we'll cover that one later. In the first game, the Jacksonville Sharks defeated the Tulsa Oilers 47-44. Tulsa went into this game as 13.5-point favorites, but that did not matter because the Sharks were able to get the victory. For the Oilers, quarterback Daniel Smith threw 3 touchdowns, had 1 interception, and ran for another touchdown. He did all right, but Tulsa just was not able to defend the Sharks. Really, this loss goes on the defense for the Oilers, which is supposed to be one of the better ones in the IFL. Tulsa running back Jared Ware was able to run for 2 touchdowns. The run game was solid. The pass game was solid, but they were not able to stop the Sharks. Wide receiver Jonathan Nance caught 2 touchdowns off of 6 receptions with 75 yards. Again, the defense was not great, but Katron Allen did have 9 tackles and 3 pass breakups, which is a pretty solid game, especially as a defensive back. The kicking game was all right. Michael Hall, who has been the kicker for the past 4 weeks, made all 5 of his PAT attempts and 1 field goal. And then the kicker return game was not too great at all for the Oilers. Then you go look at the Sharks. Fred Payton continues to start, and I think he's definitely earned the right to continue to be their starting quarterback, even if Connor Blunt is healthy or becomes healthy, because Fred Payton threw 5 touchdowns in this game, 0 interceptions, and ran for another touchdown with 53 rushing yards. He played fantastic and was definitely the reason they won this game. He was exactly what the Sharks needed, and he played like the guy that they needed and what they've been looking for the past few weeks, really since the beginning of the season. Not too much of a run game. Stanley Williams did run for a touchdown, but Peyton Jr. was the main rusher in this game for the Sharks. He spread the ball around. Demarion Terry and Cameron Solomon both caught 2 touchdowns, and Jeremiah Payton caught 1, all getting 4 or more receptions. The defense was solid, and Jabari Gorman forced the only interception in this game, which obviously had a huge effect because of how close the final score was. DJ Stubbs had a solid return week. 50 yards off of 3 kickoff returns, but that's not too incredibly much. But overall, in this game, I think that this really was what the Sharks needed. And Tulsa just feels like one of those teams they're good, but they would lose in the first round if they were able to make the playoffs. They seem really inconsistent, and they're good, but they're not in that upper tier. They're going to drop some games like they have, and they're not going to beat the best of the best, like we saw whenever they got splattered by Frisco a couple weeks ago. In the second game, we had the Green Bay Blizzard go to the winless Sioux Falls Storm. This was another team that was winless going into the week and came out with their first victory of the season. We now only have one winless team, and that is the Duke City Gladiators, who did not play this past week. But we'll go look at the stats right now. The Blizzard quarterback Max Myler didn't have his greatest day passing. He's been consistently having 2+ touchdowns a game, but he only threw 1, and he did throw an interception. Just his 3rd of the year, though. He was sacked 3 times, which is really a testament to the defense by the Storm, and he did run for 3 touchdowns because he is a huge threat with his legs. Running back E.J. Burgess had 40 yards on the ground and 66 in the air. He had a pretty solid game. The defense didn't do too much. They did force 2 interceptions, though. Centel Williams and Sean Steele II, both getting big interceptions in this game, but it didn't seem to matter. I think the real story in this game was definitely the Storm. So they started Billy Hall like they've done all year long, but they recently picked up former Arizona Rattler quarterback Lorenzo Brown Jr. And Lorenzo Brown Jr. was with the Storm for a very, very long time. He was really good there, and they wanted him to come back and try and help them win some games. Billy Hall has been really, really good, though, but I completely understand this decision. So Hall started the game. Brown then came in for the second quarter. Then Hall started the third quarter, but Brown went in for him for the remainder of the game with about 10 minutes, I believe, left in the third quarter. Because, they just thought he could do more, and he did. Both did throw an interception, but they combined for 5 rushing touchdowns. Brown looked solid. He looked pretty good. But Billy Hall is definitely a starting caliber quarterback in this league. So, I don't know. But running back Bryson Denley looked really good. He may not look fantastic on the stat sheet, but he was really, really good in this game. Just watching him. We talked about those sacks earlier. Claude Davis had 2 of them. 2 really big sacks. And then Elijah Reed with a scoop and score. The defense really helped them win this game, and that's what the Storm needed. The kicking game was not great. 1 for 5 PATs is never good, and 1 for 2 field goals is all right. But the Storm are really getting it done. They have a lot of potential. They're pretty young, and with Brown at quarterback, they may be able to do a little bit more damage this season. Because, we're only 6 games in. But, you got, 10 left? Yeah, 10 games left. So, they could still make the playoffs. But an 0-5 start is not great at all. Turnovers have killed them in the past. A lot of stuff has really hurt them. But they can be a solid IFL team this year, I think. We then move on back to the schedule. The Frisco Fighters, in a rematch from last week, played the San Antonio Gunslingers. I thought the Fighters were going to win by more in this game. I knew they would win this game because I did not see them losing back-to-back games to the Gunslingers. But the Fighters' defense again let up 50-plus points. And you already knew that the Gunslingers' defense was going to allow whatever the Fighters wanted. So you look at the Fighters. T.J. Edwards did not do too much because they played Larry Harrington. I don't remember if he got hurt or not. But Edwards was solid when he was in. He was really good when he was in. He went 5 for 6 and ran for a touchdown. But they were able to get the job done with Larry Harrington, who also had a really good game. 9 for 13, 3 passing touchdowns, and 3 rushing touchdowns. Great performance by the backup quarterback. But hopefully, the reigning MVP is okay. He looked all right later in the game. He just didn't have his pads on, so I assume he got hurt. But I don't remember. Running back Martez Carter, solid day, 1 receiving touchdown. And then wide receiver 1 in this game. In his first game played with the Fighters this season. Mick Clerge, 7 receptions, 66 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Again, the defense didn't really do too much. But McClurge also forced an interception, so he was the star of this game, 100%. And then you had Lionel McConnell returning a kick for a touchdown. 2 kickoff returns, and 87 yards. That's a really good day on special teams for McConnell. The kicking game was also really good. 1-for-1 field goal with 41 yarder, and all 7 PATs made, and they needed all of them. This was a close victory against the Gunslingers. You look over at San Antonio, Sam Castronova continuing to be dominant through the air and really good through the ground. 5 touchdowns in the air, 3 on the ground, but he did throw his second interception of the year, which is not that big of a deal because he now has a 33-2 ratio and over 1,000 yards passing. He has been insane. If he was on a better team with a better defense, he would definitely be the front runner for MVP, and he could still win it. I mean, 2-4, 10 games left. Castronova has been probably the best passer in the IFL this season, and I mean, the MVP is a quarterback award. So, wide receivers Nyquan Murray and DJ Myers both caught 2 touchdowns, and Austin Upshaw caught another one with 70 yards receiving, which led the team. Linebacker Tristan Vance led the team in tackles with 14, and the other linebacker, Ricky Wyatt, had 9. Solid on tackles, but they still are not able to stop teams from scoring points, and that's continued to be a really big issue with the Gunslingers all season long, and I mean, they have to get it fixed. The only time they've really played great defense is against a bad team in Duke City a couple weeks ago. Where was it? It was up there. But the next game, the Quad City Steamwheelers went to the Iowa Barnstormers, and another winless team getting their first win of the season. This was close, final score, but you could tell that the Barnstormers were going to win this. They did blow a giant lead at the latter portion of the game to the Steamwheelers, but you could tell that the Barnstormers were still going to win this game. Kyle King was solid, not great, only 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He is now the leading passer for the Barnstormers over Darius James Peterson, and I would say he is definitely the better passer, and he's matched him in rushing touchdowns so far this season. I'm going to expand this. Yeah. But for the running game, Rob Washington, 2 touchdowns on the ground, but he did lose a fumble, which really hurt them. But they were able to, get back and win. Wide receiver Queon Williams also lost a fumble. So turnovers definitely a big issue for the Barnstormers this week. Probably why they're 0-5, but they were able to get the win. Darren Wilson also caught 2 touchdowns. And then Ty Tate having a scoop and score and 2 tackles for loss. Really good game. And then Jefferson Fritz, one of the top tacklers in the IFL, having a pick 6. And then Javon France getting another interception. The defense played really, really good for Iowa in terms of turnovers. They were definitely a huge help this week, and that's what they've been needing. With Gabriel Rule at kicker, fantastic day. 3 for 3 field goals, 6 for 6 PATs. Okay return game, but the defense, 2 touchdowns from the defense and 3 turnovers, I believe. That really helps you. Next on the schedule, second to last game, the Vegas Nighthawks went to the Bay Area Panthers. I was really looking forward to this game all week long. 5-0 against 5-0. And it did not really live up to expectations. The Panthers started Felix Harper at quarterback. And I don't really get why. He's not better than Daquan Neal. He's just not. Harper went 13 for 21, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He is a liability, especially in this big of a game. Daquan Neal did come in after they were getting blown out. He gave life to the offense. He should have started this game. I don't know why you don't start him. He's one of the best running quarterbacks in the indoor football league. Running back Shane Simpson ran for 2 touchdowns, had over 100 yards of total yards. Jasiri Peterson, 7 receptions, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good day for him. But again, I just really blame this loss on not starting Daquan Neal, because he was healthy and he played at the end of the game. So that was your choice to start Harper, and I don't know why. You didn't start him last week whenever you beat San Diego. But I mean, maybe they're in a 2-quarterback system now. I'm not really sure. But Neal should have started this game. For the Nighthawks, though, I mean, really big win for them. Now moving on to 6-0, the only undefeated team left in the IFL. Jerome Johnson continuing to be dominant on the ground. This could have been such a great matchup between Daquan Neal and Jerome Johnson. Probably the two best. No, not the two best, because TJ Edwards is definitely up there. Two of the best rushing quarterbacks in the IFL facing off head-to-head. I mean, Johnson ran for 5 touchdowns and threw for 3. This had so much potential to be a fantastic game. And you put in Harper, who threw 3 interceptions. But again, Johnson with a really good game. Has a pretty solid case to win Offensive Player of the Week. But that hasn't been announced yet. Spread the ball around. C.J. Wyndham, Caleb Hawley, and Quentin Randolph, all 3 catching touchdowns. The defense forced 3 interceptions. They had a pretty solid day. James Caesar, Bryce Hampton, and Jericho Flowers both catching touchdowns. But Jericho Flowers also returned his second kickoff return touchdown. No, his first. His only. I don't know why this says 2. That should just say 1. But it is his second return touchdown. His first kickoff return touchdown. Really good day by Jericho Flowers. And then, I mean, pretty good defensive back play. Obviously forcing 3 interceptions and having 3 pass breakups. So, the Vegas Nighthawks asserted themselves as the best team in the NFL right now. And I don't think they are the best team in the NFL. I think they're definitely top 2. I think Panthers are still 1, but they are 1 in the poll, as they should be. They earned it. They won. But I think if you start Daquan Neal, the Panthers probably win that game. But I mean, that changes up the standings in the Western Conference. Vegas now leads. Bay Area is 2. And then this next game we're about to talk about, San Diego and the Wranglers, both now at 4-2. The Rattlers didn't play this past week, 3-3. And then the bottom dwellers of the conference still have a winless Duke City Gladiator team. Tucson didn't play this past week, and the Gunslingers lost to Frisco in the Eastern Conference. We have 2 5-1 teams, Massachusetts and Frisco. When they play, going to be awesome. Benefield against Edwards. And then you got Green Bay, who has had a really, really good year. Tulsa, who we already talked about. And then I consider these as the bottom dwellers. Quad City's not great. Sioux Falls, Jacksonville, and Iowa just this past week getting their first win of the entire season. But to the final game of Week 8, the Northern Arizona Wranglers went to San Diego, and they lost. San Diego covered the spread, and I thought that San Diego would win this game since last week. San Diego's the better team. Both of San Diego's losses are to Bay Area. They were the better team. They should have been favored. They did exactly what they really needed to. You did not need to lose 3 games in a row, especially to the Wranglers. I mean, they went back up in the rankings to 5, where they should be. And, I mean, they're still a really, really good team. So, going over that game, San Diego's quarterback, Nate Davis, still really good. 5 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground. His first on the ground of the season. But he did have 1 lost fumble. But that's all right. 5 touchdowns passing. Running back Chance Bell didn't do incredibly too much, only 30 total yards, but he did rush for a touchdown. Jordan Kress caught 2 touchdowns, and Isaiah Cox caught 3. Good day for the Strike Force receivers. This was a good game for overall for the Strike Force, really, the kicking game was solid. Return game was not great. And the defense only allowed 40-something points when you're putting up 50-something. So, I mean, it was decently close, but I didn't see really too much of a chance of the Wranglers winning this game at all. But quarterback Joshua Jacobs, still pretty good. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 1 rushing touchdown. He has been having a fantastic rookie season out of North Carolina Pembroke, I believe. Jared Ware still not playing because he is not there anymore. He is over in Tulsa for the past 4 weeks, but I still have him as not available on the thing because he played there. So they don't really have a running back. And so in that running back place, Arsiah McCorker, who is probably the most electric player on this team, has been filling that spot. He rushed for 20 yards and had 50 in the air, getting a touchdown in both. John Maldonado and Kobe White, both catching touchdowns, along with Gene Coleman, who was wide receiver 1 in this game, 86 yards and a touchdown. Overall, I mean, the Wranglers looked really good. Not really good. The Wranglers looked okay. But I love doing the Wranglers stats because they do not have a lot of turnover and injuries and everything at positions. It's always been these 2 guys, quarterback. Jones are in the starting spot. They use pretty much all of the same wide receivers. And then their defense is so consistent on the player use, so it's just so easy to do this spreadsheet. But, I mean, kicking game, solid. Return game, okay. Defense, allowing 54 points and 5 passing touchdowns to Nate Davis. I expected this. We know at this point in the season what Northern Arizona is. And, I mean, they proved it. They played exactly like what they are. A good team, not up there with these guys. I think all these guys beat them consistently. If they played over and over and over again, I mean, the Wranglers would definitely win some of those games. But they're probably in this tier right here. This is a tier. This mostly is a tier. This may be a tier. These 4. Maybe the Strike Force are in a tier of their own. The Gunslingers, Oilers, in a tier. And then everybody else. But the Sugar Skull is going to be really good if Malik Mitchell gets healthy. So overall, pretty solid week. I forgot to do predictions, so I'm going to do it right now. Quad City plays Sioux Falls. I don't think Sioux Falls is going to get 2 wins in a row after starting 0-5. And the Steamwheelers are coming off of a pretty ugly loss to another 0-5 team, the Barnstormers. So I am going to pick Quad City. The Strike Force play the Nighthawks. Great matchup. Huge. This will be really telling to what the Nighthawks are. They're coming off a huge game. Strike Force are coming off a huge must-win game. I don't know if the Nighthawks can start 7-0. And San Diego starting 4-3 with how good they are would be weird. But at the same time, Vegas is super good. This could be super high scoring. I'm going to come back to that one, but I'm thinking about the upset. Frisco plays Jacksonville. I think Frisco is going to win 100%. Jacksonville, another one of those teams coming off their first win of the season. Tulsa plays Green Bay. I just said they're in the same tier. Going to be a really, really good game. Both coming off a loss. I'm giving it to the home team and maybe the better team. Massachusetts, Iowa, 100% Massachusetts. Hopefully Benefield is back. he has a suitable backup. So even if he's not, I still think they beat Iowa, who's not good. Then San Antonio plays Duke City. I think San Antonio is going to run the score up. Their defense may actually do something because the last time they played, they only allowed 20 or something or 30 something points. Bay Area plays Northern Arizona. Bay Area is going to win that game. Coming off of a big loss, tough loss, and especially if they start Daquan Neal, they'll win. And then the final game, Arizona and Tucson. I'm picking Arizona. So back to this game. I guess, Vegas will be favored in this game, but it'll probably be 2.5 points, maybe 5.5. I'm going to pick the upset, just because why not? It could 100% happen. It'd be really fun to watch, and I'm definitely going to watch that game. But yeah, those are my predictions. Again, the players of the week have not been put out yet. Last week it was Daniel Smith, Mikael Calhoun, and DJ Stubbs. But yeah, that is the episode for this week. I will be back next week. Thank you for watching.